All right, this is Fullest House, first edition, where we are playing Vaettiheim. It is turn 22. Of course, as ever, no memories. Let's see, alteration, that seems good. Alteration 5, right? Yeah, we've talked at length about that. Construction, cool. We do need that. We missed with some site searching, but we do find a magic site, a Witch's Bog. That is 2 gems, I believe. Very nice. Ugh, and then we get attacked a bunch by Bogarus. That's sad. No, sir. The war is over. Stop struggling. So let's see. Right, this is our assault force, but he is actually attacking out. So this could be... Okay, interesting. It looks like he's just trying to save some of his mages, right, that are retreating out. So this is a trick you can do where if your fort is about to be stormed, you can attack out, but order the guys to retreat, and as long as your fort gets lost, they will retreat, to another province, assuming that you have a safe retreat route, and with all the normal caveats of sometimes people retreat to the wrong province, and we're just doing, our point buffing on very limited amount of our sacreds, and then hopefully also like our axemen, and it looks like it went off pretty well, right? Like we got no moss body, at least on this particular fellow, but he got his protection buff, and he got his ethereal, and he got his quickness, so he's gonna be a real dangerous fellow. Some of these guys are choosing to hang out, which is interesting. Like I'm not sure if he felt that he needed to provide some cover, to give his other mages time to escape, but I don't think he really needed to, and I don't think these mages are going to do too much. Okay, they were just set to cast a few spells, then retreat, so try to get some damage in, and then bail out, and he manages to kill 2 of our sacreds. That's cool. I don't think it's... Well, yeah, we only get 1 mage, and of course, all of his stuff does escape, so that's pretty cool. That said, I'm not sure they're going to have any retreat routes, so this is definitely a risky move, but, he's making a bunch of other attacks, so he's probably going to open up some retreat routes. Here's the heavy cav group, right, and it's going to run into the 15 horse tribes. So let's see if the horse tribe lances do anything at all. We're not expecting the arrows to do anything. Yeah, it's not looking good. So, heavy cav dominates these horse tribe, at least in that number, and that was just a waste of gold, as I suspected, but now it is proven, so that is good news, or good to know, good knowledge. And then we're getting attacked by a scout. This is, one of the places where we're recruiting a bunch of our Vetties. And we have a good amount of province defense here and a few goblins stacked up. So this is not going to work out. And we kill a scout. That is always nice. And then this is our attack in Bogarus, right? So we did split our forces. And this is the majority of our stuff, although mage-wise, a little on the light side. And we're up against quite a bit of province defense. I do think we're going to get some swarm. And we do have, there's some swarm. We do have a decent amount of crossbowmen, a little bit of point buffing, no sacreds, of course, right? So that is concerning. But the bugs are going to help, the flying bugs. It would be nice if more of them got up among the infantry. I do think we're going to lose quite a bit of infantry here. I don't think we're going to lose overall, but it is looking a little on the scary side because our archers are not going to do great in melee, but you can see, the Vetti, we rout, but we're heavily outnumbered, so, our troops are pretty good. So this does work out for us, but, you can see that, splitting like this definitely increases our attrition, because we certainly wouldn't have taken those level of losses if we'd brought everything. So, this hurts. These berserkers, they're not expensive, but they're not cheap either, right? They're not our normal crappy cheap goblin troops. So losing all of our berserkers that does hurt a bit. Otherwise, we just kind of lose a grab bag of stuff. We don't lose any casters. We do knock out a lot of province defense. We have a few retreats, our berserkers, all of them survived. Yay, that's good. So overall, this is definitely good, but perhaps not as clean as it could have been. Still, his capital is locked down now, and the faster you can do that, the better. And then we're getting attacked again by Bogarus, so we're definitely going to have our raiding work cut out for us. Okay, now this is just a ping and retreat. Not sure where this is. I think this is some other fort storming force. Or no, we're only storming 1 fort this turn. So yeah, I'm not totally sure what that was. Something. Speaking of raiding, this looks like a raiding force. Right, this is where we're bringing home one of our blood casters because she wants to do some some blood hunting, because we're behind in getting that up, because I am not good at blood and, you know, all that normal stuff. And like, yeah, there's not a lot of PD here, and we have a few wolf brothers. So that works out for us, with no losses either, and that's always nice. Doesn't always happen with wolf brothers. And then we're getting attacked again by Bogarus. Really deep. Okay, so he had a bunch of scouts in our territory, and like, yeah, it's just kind of flinging them at us. And like, yeah, you know, this can work if there's no PD, or like, yeah, pretty much just if there's no PD. Even at 1 PD, your scout's probably not going to come away with it. So I think that's probably more just him, you know, saying hello and also cutting down on upkeep costs, because it's like, well, he realistically doesn't really need those scouts anymore. And, you know, they don't cost a lot of gold to maintain, but not no gold. And so we've already seen this force in action. Luckily, they weren't, you know, focused on like gem stuff and like just the point buffing. And like really the only danger here is that we lose one of our little Veti casters to the arrows, because we were a little worried, because there was, you know, as we saw, there were a decent amount of mages in there, and like maybe they should have hung out. Like, I don't know, like we'll see. It really depends on whether we manage to open retreat routes for them and what he's able to get up with them in the future. So like, yeah, we lose 2 berserkers. That's totally fine. We, you know, kill off just a little bit of stuff. We take a fortress. And then we catch what looks like is the last battle between Satis and Lemuria. So sorry to spoil that, but I don't think there was a lot of confusion as to where this is all headed. Okay, so it's an empty fort. So we're not really going to see too much from Satis here. You know, they probably won't really even, we won't really even get to see, like, you know, what kind of spell research they have. We do at least get to see their bless. So they went with decay weapons, some precision, which is interesting. So perhaps more of a mage bless, a little bit of shock resistance, and natural protection +5, which I think stacks decently well with the lizards, since they already have a little bit of natural protection. But yeah, I'm less familiar with that. So an interesting bless, one that I can't really properly assess, but certainly worked out for them against Lemuria, although it probably wasn't the bless that, you know, made the difference there. So we find a few death gems. That is nice. We get discovered in Patala, so he is patrolling. Wow, that's a ton of province defense. So we probably would have gotten patrolled out even if he wasn't patrolling, but he is patrolling, you know, with 2 of his cap onlys and his sacreds. So like, yeah, that's going to be kind of nasty. Like, I mean, that is a ton of monkeys, right? Like, let's just take a look at this. Like, holy moly, that is a lot of projectiles, and, you know, these guys bonk pretty hard, just mundane damage, but still, like, you can't just run into that, especially with, like, the sacreds. Like, yeah, you have to provide a little bit of respect to that. So yeah, we're probably going to let Gath deal with that. Like, we'll see. If we finish out our stuff quickly enough, like, maybe we'll move in before them. And then, yeah, we're sitting on 2 forts, right, which is good, but as you can see, like, by splitting our forces and the fact that we don't have too many of our rock hurlers up there, this would take a really, really long time. So probably going to need to recruit more rock hurlers, and I think we already have some moving up. But yeah, we're going to need more siege strength to make this happen in any kind of reasonable pace, and I will catch you guys after the jump. Alright, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. Yeah, this war has been going pretty well, and I think, you know, we're getting close to having it wrapped up. To that end, we're going to be doing some raiding down here with our Wolf Brother groups. I think it should go fine. It's not impossible that we run into his heavy cavalry, but I think it's more likely that his heavy cavalry is going to try to, like, recapture provinces rather than, you know, try to defend. Like, he doesn't have a lot of territory to defend. In some ways, it kind of doesn't matter for him, because I don't think he can draw income currently, because he doesn't have any forts that aren't under siege, right? Which is another reason that, you know, you really want to try to keep your forts unlocked, which of course Bogarus has done. You know, we fought a major battle on top of his fort where he was trying to do exactly that. Other than our raiding, you know, if he raids here, we can't really do anything about that, but we're going to move this force that just took the fort over here. So yeah, we've got our Rimveti and our berserkers, and, you know, there's not too much stuff here, but with, like, the spell support, and if we need it, it's not actually scripted, but they have some nature gems, so if things start to go badly, we'll just pump out a bunch of bugs. I have pretty good hopes, you know, that we'll be able to stop any raid in this direction, and that'll prevent him from raiding, like, deeper into our territory. Those mages, right, that try to retreat, I don't think they had a retreat route. Normally, you know, you'd be able to retreat across here, but this is a mountain pass that's cold, so I think you need mountain survival, and I don't think those mages had that, so they can't actually move through that connection. And, you know, I mean, that's just one of the risks. He probably also, like, wasn't expecting me to move as quickly as I did, which, in fairness, I almost didn't do that. I was a little bit worried about it. But yeah, I think, it also highlights the advantage of moving quickly. Because last turn, right, like he had at least one unlocked, maybe two unlocked forts. I can't remember. As well as this province here, right? So like his mages did have retreat routes, when he set that play up. So I don't think it was a crazy idea, right? He's probably looking to set up a final stand in Bogarus. And speaking of Bogarus, like, yeah, this siege is going to take a little while. We only have 119 siege strength, which is not great. And like the wall integrity on this, yeah, 750. And of course, there will be at least a few defenders. So, that's like 7 turns roughly, but probably more because the defenders. So we are moving up more siege strength, right? Like here's a decent amount of siege strength. You can see like just these giants here. That's another 115, which is still not great. To that end, we are trying to hire some mercenaries, the Bandar Band. I think these are like the larger monkeys, the stronger monkeys. So they should give us a decent amount of siege strength if we manage to hire them. And we're trying to hire them in Bogarus. And then we're also moving out like that stack of crossbowmen and a few of our other recruits that we were thinking we might have to defend the capital with. Unfortunately, we only have one of our cap-only mages. Yeah, so not ideal to be losing that research, but I do think, trying to hasten this siege like as quickly as possible is worth it. That more or less sums up the situation for our current war. We are moving out one of our goads to possibly do some preaching, right? This is where potentially we could get another dryad. But we also want a lab here, right? We want labs in both of these forests to start cranking out our foreign recruit mages. And then we're sending out a lot of scouts, right? So we really want to start scouting Gath and Arco because those are probably our likeliest like next 2 targets. So we'd like to get a sense of like, well, how big are they, and also like just kind of what's going on in the rest of the world. Once we finish our current war and before we start our next war, we do need to take this throne, so that's definitely on the agenda. We'd like to clear our cap circle. In terms of other like capital sieges, right, a lot of citadels in the late age, so you can see like both of these citadels are still uncracked, and there's at least like one bird raiding group active, it would seem. And then we found one of the borders of Satissa's territory, really what was Lemuria's territory. So we see a Phlegron flag here, so we're just going to move in there, see like, well, who has this throne, and what kind of border is it, how deep does Phlegra extend. Continuing to do a little bit of scouting on Utgard, and we can see that they've managed to get sages from somewhere, although we don't really know how many. Which will definitely help their research, and otherwise just like some normal giant spearmen who are decent, and these Seath Konas are supposed to be like pretty good mages, so it seems like competent recruitment from them, and I think that more or less covers our scouting. We have full mage recruitment this turn, which is always nice. Just recruiting, our sacreds in the capital, not much in the way of troop recruitment. Some of our money is going into a temple here this turn, so we will need labs and temples, right, to recruit our mages from our forts. So it's a bit expensive. That said, like this will help push our dominion over here, especially like once Bogarus's dominion disappears. And then also Abyssia's dominion, right, will disappear as well. It depends on how long this siege takes. But having some temples on the border, like ready to fill those areas with our dominion, is going to help a lot in the dominion struggle. And yeah, I think that covers turn 22. All right, time for Fullest House, first edition, where we are playing Vaettiheim. It is turn 23. Finish research in construction, level 2. Nice, we can actually make some items, that's cool. Headed up to 4 for boosters and for the sanguine dowsing rods for our blood hunting. We miss with some site searching, but we find, is this more enchantress? What is going on? I think we already found one of these sites. You can definitely have, there are some sites that are unique, but most of them are not. And these sorceresses or enchantresses are in a more convenient location for us. You're thinking about maybe putting a 4 here anyway, so we'll probably do that and then go back to recruiting our Veti Hags out of that other forest. This is such a bizarre game for site luck. We had a bunch of profits go up, which is kind of interesting. Let's see, we took control of a province. Yeah, this is in Bogarus's territory where we're doing some raiding, and it doesn't have a lot of money, so wasn't able to leave any province defense. We get raided in a place. Yeah, I think we moved to block this. We did. So fairly high hopes. I don't think our province defense will HP route us, because I believe it counts for less in terms of that calculation. Otherwise, there would be some risk. Right, we are goblins, so our HP is a little bit lower. Obviously, the province defense is going to do a whole lot of nothing. Ooh, I think we're still in attack rear. That is really unfortunate. I forgot to change that from when we were assaulting. So, like, now this is really dangerous, right? Our berserkers are going to do a lot better. But we don't have a ton of bodyguards on our mages, and like, yeah, we will get the commander here at least, so it does more or less kind of work out. Body Ethereal helping us a lot. Yeah, there we go, there's the route. And we'll probably have to fight the heavy cav anyway, right, because they're going to retreat. Yeah, our goblins aren't able to catch them. So that is unfortunate because, you know, we lose a bunch of our berserkers and we don't get really much of any cavalry. And while he will lose some in the retreat, like I do think he has a retreat route available to him, right? So like, yeah, he only loses 4 of his cav and he will be able to recruit another leader for them. So, you know, that was just a scripting issue. We definitely wanted our Rimvetti to connect with those heavy cavalry. We have a few retreats of our own. They do survive at least. So we at least block the raid. And I do think it was a good plan. Just, you know, messed up the scripting, as happens. And then, yeah, these are just some wolf riders against, yeah, quite a bit of PD here. So I think this is not going to work out. Or these are, yeah, no, these are our wolf brothers. Unfortunately, they're in skirmish, right? Because there's a wolf that I forgot to remove from the group. So like, yeah, it works out. The heavy cav, that really tiny heavy cavalry component tends to route really quickly, it seems like. So I think we actually, yeah, we come away with this. Very nice. So here I was not believing in our wolf brothers, but, you know, they come away with it with just 1 casualty. I'm not sure why we don't have a wolf listed there. Actually, if you'll indulge me for a second, did we start? Yeah, we started with that wolf. I wonder if it's a situation if we bring this wolf back to the capital, he'll get a new rider? Doesn't say that. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here because, yeah, we don't, and there's no wolf listed. So anyway, we'll see. Probably won't really bother sending them all the way back to the capital, but if at some point it's convenient, we'll experiment a little bit with that. And then we are attacking some independents. Oh, right, these are the villains. There's only a few villains left, and like, yeah, our spearmen are not good, but they should be able to handle that. Yeah, we do lose one, you know, we don't love bows as tiny little goblins. An unexpected event in Bogarus. Local lords are feuding, lose taxes, a lot of unrest too. This is a bit unfortunate, but we don't own it yet, so it's not the end of the world. We finished construction of a fortress. Yeah, this is that palisade, the the fort I should have upgraded. And then we have the ongoing sieges. Bogarus now moderately damaged. I'm not sure. We bought some mercenaries, mostly for their siege strength on top of Bogarus. Mercenaries show up fairly late in the turn order, so I'm not sure if they contributed their siege strength this turn. But, you know, this is looking good. We have a little more siege strength moving in, so it's going to take a little more time, but we should have it cracked in not too long. And yeah, I'll catch you guys after the cut. Alright, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. Mostly just trying to siege down Bogarus's forts. It's nice that we got those mercenaries because we don't have a ton of siege strength here, even with them. 188 is not overwhelming, especially for a citadel. Luckily, I don't think there's too much in here in the way of troops, and we have like more siege strength moving in, right? Another 135, our siege units. So that's going to help a lot, and we should be able to get through the walls without too much difficulty. And also in the good news department, it looks like, I mean, you know, if you trust the scout report, some of his heavy cav died in the retreat, and also there's a decent chance he won't have enough money to recruit another leader, right, to hassle us. Regardless, we're going to send our group in and, you know, try to destroy his last, like, mobile elements. Otherwise, full mage recruitment, despite the fact that we are putting up some infrastructure. You know, we're building a lab here this turn. Not too much in the way of troop recruitment. We are getting our sacreds, but that is not quite it. We're also getting some replacement wolf brothers. Since, you know, we'll probably be trying to goblin someone again, and we did lose a decent amount of wolf brothers. We're probably going to try smaller groups this time, but we still want a lot of groups, so we're going to need some replacements. Speaking of our wolf brother groups, we're just going to send them out to kind of, you know, do some scouting in force. And then our regular scouts are moving forward. You know, I did say that I was planning on recruiting fewer scouts, but part of it is there's just so many available. It's too difficult for me to resist. And also, for this deeper scouting, like, I think, you know, it's like we may actually want to use just regular scouts since they are, I mean, using the Wolf Brother groups as like a scouting group or just as a scout, is incredibly expensive. So they're not like great scouts in that sense, and it kind of becomes a situation where it's like, okay, you know, if you move wolf brothers out into someone's territory, you almost kind of have to attack them, because it's just a huge waste of time and money to, like, you know, if you move your wolf brothers out and you scout them and then it's like, oh, actually they're not a good target, let me go to like the opposite end of my own empire, it just takes too long. So I'm actually thinking now probably the thing to do, you know, is just you still use regular scouts to figure out like who you want to go after, and then as your wolf brother groups move into a place that you know is going to be lucrative, you know, your scouts can like continue to push out. So you don't need to cover like your current target with scouts. Your wolf brothers will do that scouting for you. So anyway, scouts, we've got them. They're moving out to see, you know, how big is Gath? What else are they up to? How big is Arco? What else are they up to? Since those are our two likeliest targets, we're going to bounce another scout off of the throne, just because I've kind of forgotten exactly what's in there, and I had a free, you know, commander, and also curious to see, right, are there a bunch of disease units? Are there fewer units there now? Because we did see some of that earlier. In terms of sieges that we're keeping an eye on, we can see that Calum is cracked, so we're probably going to see a storm there next turn. Abyssia is not cracked, though we do see a decent amount of Bakemono reinforcements nearby, and then Patala is still not even under siege, so yeah, that's very curious to see, like, is Gath, you know, he said he's busy with something else, certainly seems that way. Continuing, you know, to push scouts around elsewhere, want to take a look at the throne, and then over here, we can see that, like, yeah, I think I talked with Marignon and he'd mentioned that, like, Phlegra was, I think he said, failed state. And it certainly looks to be the case, so we're actually going to send our scout elsewhere. I mean, granted, we also have a throne in our cap circle that we haven't taken, and maybe Phlegra extends really far in this other direction. But they're kind of just, they only have their cap circle, it looks like, more or less, you know, to their west and to their south. And then, of course, like to the north, they're kind of blocked by the lake. So unless they really expanded a lot in this direction, which seems kind of unlikely, I mean, you know, we kind of know the limit of how far they could have expanded. So it's not impossible that they're big, but it kind of looks like they're probably not going to be much of a factor, whereas we don't really know anything about Midgard. So we're going to send a scout down that way. And then, yeah, I think we just recently talked research, but yeah, it hasn't changed too much. Still working on construction for our boosters and for the dowsing rods, and then like the same enchantment stuff. We might actually mix enchantment 5 in here because we're pretty good at making skeletons, and that's where you get the best skeleton spell. And yeah, I think that covers turn 23.